and there is one Kerala State SCRT of Anthropology, 11th and 12th standard. If you read that, I can bet on this even today, if you read that, out of 500 you can score 150. In case studies, there are two things: give the facts and name the scholar. Okay, these are the two things. Now, inculcate both of them in the third one, that is answer writing. Practice the previous year question papers and nothing comes out of it. Mentors have gone through this phase and they have spent sufficient time, they have acquired sufficient knowledge, they know what were their mistakes and they will suggest you what not to do. Your amount of dedication, your smart planning, your answer writing, the diagram notebook and the practice, and also your test series.
Hello and welcome to this special session brought to you by VisionIAS. Today we have with us an eminent faculty member of VisionIAS, Kasam Suhas Sir, who is going to enlighten us about VisionIAS's Anthropology Optional subject program, with a special emphasis on how to adopt the right strategy. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Charanjit.
Sir, I just wanted to know, like everyone wants to know, why is anthropology still a very popular subject or popular option when it comes to choosing the optional subject?
Firstly, thank you, Charanjit, for such a good platform to share what I have to tell about anthropology's benefits and also not challenges, I would say, little what is believed to be challenges in the market. Okay, so the question you asked me is, why is it popular, right? So firstly, if you go by the numbers, right? If we go by the numbers, what you can see is like it has been consistently giving, not once or twice in a decade or in 5 years, something like that, but it has been consistently giving more than 300 plus marks for the toppers, right? So now if you look at that, there is some inherent quality of the subject. Okay, so firstly, like it has something that can be pleasing in the way of like scoring for the humanities students, that is the socio-cultural part. And if you say, is this tough for the science students? No, not at all. If I'm speaking about marriage, if I'm speaking about kinship, if I'm speaking about religion or economic anthropology, all these are even like maybe in our daily life we have seen these things. Okay, so we are familiar about these things. Even I am from a science background. I had done my engineering, but after coming to the preparation, when I picked up anthropology, midway, I had actually geography earlier, but when I picked up anthropology, what I saw was initially, these were not something new for me. Okay, so that is one perk for both the science as well as the humanities students. You come from commerce, you come from humanities, you come from science, it is not tough. On the other hand, the challenging part which is believed in the market, so like that is science, that I will discuss eventually, but actually when you look at that science part, what is there in it is not the very complex medical sciences. It's very simple science. A basic NCERT 11th and 12th knowledge can actually start making the ease-free learning actually with the subject. So that's the thing. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And now thank you for, absolutely busting this myth that one has to be from this background to choose it as an optional subject. Now, so the second most important question is, are there any prior requirements, any prerequisites that a particular candidate has to have before choosing this optional subject?
See, like if I have to look at the prerequisites or prior knowledge about it, as such there is nothing. As such there is nothing, because firstly we have to know what exactly is anthropology. Okay, anthropology is something like a gossip about man. Okay, I mean gender neutral. Yeah, it's about gossip about man, like where we are living, how we are living, what makes us man, how did we evolve to become a man, like human. Okay, from where did we evolve? Like for example, you can see we have so much of technology, so much of like like even for example recently Operation Sindoor, if you take, there was the missile technology and all those, but we did not come to that stage all of a sudden, right? We started somewhere in the simple tool technology, but why did that originate, right? So all these things like eventually will be systematically learning. So what happens is, if you pick up the context of anthropology, it's not something that you will see that, okay, if I study the science subjects and come here, it becomes easier, Or if I study something like history and come over, then that becomes easier. No, anthropology is an assorted, like, basket where you have everything in it, and everything is easier to learn. Okay, so that ways I would never tell there is something like a prerequisite. Yes, of course, one thing in UPSC is the NCERTs. NCERTs can never be negotiated. Okay, so yeah, that can be the prerequisite. I would say they should probably go through the NCERTs of biology, especially of 11th and 12th standard. That should be good. And coming to socio-cultural part, they should be actually going through the sociology NCERTs, or even better suggestion I would give you, you can even skip the NCERTs, and there is one Kerala State SCRT of anthropology, 11th and 12th standard. If you read that, I can bet on this even today, if you read that, out of 500 you can score 150. Okay, just those NCERTs. So now you can actually feel 11th and 12th standard books, if they can actually make you score 150 out of 500, then little more from our classes or like from the basic UPSC material and all those things, then another 150 is not a challenge, right? That is the benefit in anthropology. So here, like you can see, if I have to very concise way, if I have to tell you, the prerequisite is 11th and 12th standard Kerala SCRT. That's it. Yeah.
I've already briefly mentioned about the sources. So
Yeah.
what is the next step? Once you are done with those books, what are the advanced level books that one can refer to?
See, like for example, with respect to anthropology, when we look at the advanced level books, here the main important aspect is there are certain books in the market which are very good indeed. Okay, and they're very limited actually. Like, to be very honest, as I told you, I came from geography, right? So I mean, even today I teach geography environment, you know that. So basically what happens is, like, when I came from geography, geography optional had a lot of books and each book used to be this big. Okay, but when I came to anthropology, all the books were smaller, and literally I'll tell you, every topper today in the market who is taken anthropology and cleared with very good flying colors, right? They would have thought about this like what I thought that day. They would have thought, इतना छोटा book से क्या हो जाएगा? Okay, but yes, there is one socio-cultural theories book, that is Makkanja. It's only this much, very small book. It's like a novel. I would say probably this size of the book. Okay, and overall, like, there is one more. Makkanja is good for socio-cultural theories, but preferably Gaya and Pandey is good. Okay, and for physical anthropology, after that NCERTs you are covered, you can go for P. Nath. Okay, and coming to the aspects of socio-cultural anthropology, there is a book in market which is like, I would not prefer any particular book, but you can go for Ember and Ember. It's good. And on the other hand, that's the only biggest book actually, the fat book I am speaking about. Apart from that, coming to paper 2, there is Indian Anthropology by Nadeem Hasnain and Tribal Anthropology by Nadeem Hasnain, and there is archaeological anthropology, which is there in both paper 1 and paper 2. For that, actually you can look at going forward with D.K. Bhattacharya. So it's hardly 5-6 books, that's it. So, but I'll tell you, these are never a replacement for your class notes. Because why am I telling this is, yes, of course, they are anthropologists, they are the scholars who have written the books, but they have not written in the perspective of UPSC. Okay, so what happens is, the class notes is curated for you to score, right? It keeps in mind, like, you are going to be the future administrator, and how should I mold you, right? Because learning the society, learning the people whom you govern later is very important, and that's what anthropology does. Okay, so that is something.
So how much time does one need to devote to complete the entire syllabus? Take into consideration all these books are referred to.
See, like, when we look at the completion of syllabus, I would say 6 months. Now, the question is, the market says it's a very small subject. Then why am I saying 6 months? Yes, I'm saying 6 months in a systematic manner. Like, for example, in the first 1 month, you can read the Kerala SCRT. Okay, that will build your foundation. In the next 3 months, you will actually comprehensively cover the entire syllabus. Starting from paper 1, there are 12 topics. In the second paper, there are 9 topics and subtopics. So you can cover the entire syllabus comprehensively. For that, you would require 2 to 3 months. And then after that, there is one more month where you will have to like start writing answers and like make practice the diagrams and accumulate some case studies, and then the last month will be for revision. So now in this 6 months, unlike other subjects, what I am trying to tell you here is in 6 months I am telling you a holistic preparation where you are learning the foundational aspects, the core syllabus, and then your test series, I mean answer writing, and then the revision also. So that ways, like if you want to tell me in a just reading it for once, it is just 2 to 3 months. That is the beauty of this subject.
Any optional subject, people always look for like the common or overlapping syllabus.
Yes.
So are there any portions in this particular anthropology syllabus which overlap with GS syllabus?
Yes, that's a great question. I need to answer this actually because even I see a lot of people, like, students, when I tell them I'm teaching anthropology, they just come to me and say, sir, anthropology to acha hai, but usme overlap kitna hai? So this is the question they ask. See, of course, there is like a good amount of overlap. Like for example, what we learn in anthropology is learning about the humanity. Okay, so considering learning about the humanity includes everything, the social aspects, cultural aspects, archaeological aspects, and also the physical, biological aspects. So everything is covered. So now to start with, like for example, when I said social cultural aspects or tribal issues or tribal anthropology and Indian caste system and all these things, I mean, this sounds very much similar to GS paper 1 social issues and society, right? So even this year 2025, there were close to 70 marks, 70 to 80 marks from Indian society. Okay, and that is one section. And secondly, if you take physical anthropology, we'll be studying something like the cell and the genetics and some other aspects of racism and all those. Racism comes under society again. But like, the genetics and cell and all these things like biotechnology and all these things that we study is again the syllabus in GS paper 3. Right. So on the other hand, like you can also use this knowledge of tribal issues and like tribal, non-tribal group, what is the that bridge that is lacking connecting them. Okay, and how should we look at tribes as being as a non-tribal groups? How should we look at tribes? Is it only like developed versus undeveloped? So now these perspectives are built in your anthropology. Now that means that is going to help you in your case studies of ethics paper, right? And cumulatively, all of these things will give you multiple dimensions to write in your essay also. So there, I'm not saying it has too much of importance, but I'm not saying it has too less importance also. Easily, it can cover 150 to 200 marks very sufficiently, apart from essay. Essay nowadays, if you see, UPSC has changed their trajectory almost towards the philosophical. So anthropology plays a bigger role now. When you speak about philosophy, you write about the cultures and social rituals and all these things. So that's where you find it. That's the thing.
Thank you, sir. Now, how to write a good answer to a particular question in anthropology? What extra skills or tools that you need to write a good answer?
See, I would like to quote a certain aspects. There are some ABCs of anthropology. Like, see, in anthropology, one important thing I like to tell you is if you want to score more, in anthropology, there is a high scope. Why? For example, like you take geography, you take political science. These subjects are very bulky. Okay, firstly, completing these, my personal experience, completing geography in 6 months is not possible. Okay, so while in anthropology, you can do it. And second important thing is when you compare it with something like history, sociology, or any other humanities subjects, there is more of subjectivity, right? So scoring would be difficult. And you have to bring wide perspectives, but anthropology is not so. In anthropology, the biggest advantage is there is little bit of subjectivity and more of objectivity. Okay, so now, like for example, to get that 300, like to cross that 300 mark, what we have to do is we have to be very clear about objectivity of this particular paper. And secondly, the most important thing is the visual aids, like for example the diagrams, like human evolution. You should know how to draw the skull. Okay, and it's not tough. First day it will be tough, of course, I accept, but that's why I said 1 month of time in your preparation is for diagrams, case studies. Okay, so now it is very simple. 3 things, as I said ABCs. 1, diagrams. There are hardly 50 diagrams which you need to maintain a separate notebook and draw all the diagrams, and it should become your muscle memory. Like Virat Kohli says, like whenever he takes a drive and all, he says it's become my muscle memory. So like that, like drawing should become, those diagrams should become your muscle memory. 90 seconds you should be able 90 seconds you should be able to present it. First thing, that is the biggest positive thing of anthropology. You need not be an artist. Again, I'm telling you, you need not be an artist, but a presentable diagram. Because when you draw a skull, when you draw a femur, or when you draw some kinship charts, or when you draw some, like for example, let us say evolution charts, these things will actually convey the evaluator that you are well aware of the subject, first thing. Okay, and there cannot be subjectivity in it. Okay, and second thing is case studies, because people might think if I say these things only, it is probably for the physical anthro. No, on the social anthro, I'm telling you again, there are case studies. Okay, so when you are actually bringing case studies, like for example, let us say you are speaking about the tribal issues. When you're speaking about the tribal issues, speak about the Bastar region, speak about the northeast region, Tripura. Okay, what are the issues, and then give the case studies. This rebellion happened in this particular here, and this happened in this region, and this was the reason according to this particular scholar. Okay, so what happens is, in case studies there are 2 things: give the facts and name the scholar. Okay, these are the 2 things. Now inculcate both of them in the third one, that is answer writing. Practice the previous year question papers, and nothing comes out of it. That is a simple thing. Yeah.
Now, sir, coming to mentoring and external aid.
Yes.
So, what is the importance of having a mentor and test series?
Yes.
Test series when it comes to getting a good score, as you said, crossing that 300 mark.
Yes.
So, what is the importance of mentoring and test series?
Okay. See, when we look at test series, it's like a feedback mechanism. Even for that matter, mentoring. Okay. See, the biggest thing is we can learn how much ever we want from the market, from the resources, and there are wide variety of resources. We can learn a lot of things. But am I actually shooting it in the right direction? That is actually tested by the test series. So when you write good answers in the test, and see, not just writing, what is a good answer? Good answer develops after you write at least 50-100 answers. Okay, so your answer writing whenever you write, or your test series answers when you write, the biggest thing is that after you complete some amount of answers and you submit it to the mentor, or when you submit it as a test series, the first thing that you get is the compliments or the comments. Always prefer comments, right? Because when we prefer comments, what happens is they will tell you what you have done wrong and what is the right way to do it. And second thing, which diagram to be placed in which answer, the contextual preference or contextual inclination, okay, which case study to be presented in which answer, okay, and how to write a beautiful introduction, which scholar to be quoted in the introduction, which scholar is preferably to be mentioned in the pre-conclusion. These things you can do the trial and error methods in your test series, because it's better to bleed in the test series than in the exam, right? So that's what I would say. Like, test series plays as a feedback loop, and the greater the time you put in test series, the better your answers comes out. And most important thing, mentorship. Why mentorship? When we speak about mentorship, mentors have gone through this phase and they have spent sufficient time, they have acquired sufficient knowledge, they know what were their mistakes, and they will suggest you what not to do, right? So mentors are, that's why are something like the guiding light. Okay, they are the lanterns in the dark. Okay, so they have to actually sort of write more answers, and like the sources which to refer and the case studies how to gather, because accuracy of the case studies is very important. So accuracy of the case studies, the diagrams, all these things will be helped by the mentors and the faculties. So that's where you can see the prime role of these people.
Yes. Now coming to the most important question, could you please tell us about the salient features of this VisionIAS Anthropology optional course? Like what are we going to cover and
Okay.
what is the exact course going to be?
See, when we look at the salient features of VisionIAS optional course, specifically to mention here, I would be handling the socio-cultural part and the theories part and several other sections. Okay, so parts of some archaeological anthropology, and even in paper 2 also I'll be handling major sections. So now when you look at this, on the other hand, physical anthropology and all will be handled by my colleague Ravi Agrari sir. So like what you can see here is, like Ravi sir has the science background, so he is doing his part, and I have my strength in the social background. So it's not that I'm not good with physical part, but of course when he is there I am taking this part. So what happens is there are multiple faculties who are giving their expertise. That's the first advantage. And second one is, when you look at this here, we are going to make sure we are going to cover it very holistically by end of the subject or end of the course. Let us say you are having good amount of confidence in the exam, because I mean answering the questions. Because first thing, see, the first most important thing I'll tell you is, unlike other optional subjects, we should not look at anthropology as paper 1 and paper 2. Okay, there are several concepts which are interlinked. So even in the advanced course, what I covered the advanced course, so in that I happen to teach them how to interlink the papers. Okay, the concepts from paper 1 should be interlinked to paper 2, and the concepts from paper 2 should be interlinked to paper 1. Okay, so now for example, what happens is, let me give you one simple example. Let us say like okay, in Kerala there is one community which is a very standard case study in marriage. Okay, Nair community, but not now, they don't follow the practice now. Like there was something called as, like, the marriage happens with a man, and the husband after marriage he'll be there for 1 or 3 days, and then later on the next meeting with the husband will be during his death. Okay, so now the question is, why do they practice this? I mean, what do they practice comes under socio-cultural anthropology. And why do they practice this? And what is the contextual, importance, and why it is matriarchal society? All these things comes under the scholars who has given their thoughts. Okay, and examples is, are there any such other tribal societies who are following something like this, or something comes under tribal anthropology. So now what we'll be doing in our course is, instead of like tribal anthropology comes in paper 2, socio-cultural theories and anthropology comes in paper 1. Instead of looking at it like separate as paper 1 and paper 2, we will be going with the smart plan where we are going to club the things and learn. So with this, what happens is, when there is a problem statement, you know how to analyze that problem statement. As in, when there is a question, you know how to analyze the demand of the question, and you know how to answer it. Okay, so any number of bouncers, let it come, you should be prepared to answer that. So that is the objective that we are going with.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for comprehensively covering it. Now, sir, every aspirant needs a role model.
Yes.
And there's so many aspirants who have cracked this exam with anthropology as their optional subject. So could you specify or take the name of a particular topper whose strategy can be followed by the rest?
Yeah, of course. That is a very important question I need to answer indeed. Here, if you want me to pick one particular topper, it's very difficult, because every year in the top 50, we have so many toppers from anthropology. Every year. Okay. Be it this year Abhishek, or like several years before, we have like so many people. Akshat Jain is there, and Anudeep Durishetty is there, and there is Lakshmi Nagappan, so many people. But I would like to prefer picking up a couple of names here. First one is Lakshmi Nagappan, and the second one is Anudeep Durishetty. Okay, see, Lakshmi Nagappan scored the numbers which is beyond somebody can think, 362, okay, out of 500. And I can bet on this, probably no other optional can do this. Okay, no other optional can do this. Where there are optionals which are fighting to reach an average of or cross the average of 260, 280. But here 300 is a common score for the toppers. Okay, so 362, Lakshmi Nagappan. Why? What did she do? Her extensive, importance given to the case studies. That was the benefit, and the diagrams. Actually, diagrams was more emphasized by Anudeep Durishetty. And to quote this, in one of his interviews, he also mentioned because his handwriting was not good, he preferred more visual aids. And look at his approach. Because of those visual aids, today, he's the rank 1 of that year, right? So, see, these people, actually, Anudeep Durishetty comes from BITS Pilani. He's an engineer. He was working in Google also, right? So, what you can see is this person coming from science background, he has chosen anthropology and he was the rank 1 of that year. That means he has not scored anything less than what is like the top score, right? So, like that means it is gifted that particular good score for the ones who are dedicated and for the ones who are actually sort of putting their good amount of efforts onto the subject. Anthropology, and even like Lakshmi Nagappan also, she was also from she was also from non-humanities background. Okay, and there are several people who have been like from commerce, who have been from science, who have been from engineering, who have been from humanities. Everybody is able to score the top scores. So there is only one simple formula that I would like to tell my students. The simple thing is your amount of dedication, your smart planning, your answer writing, the diagram notebook and the practice, and also your test series. These 5 things can easily take you to 300. That is the thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and your experience, insights, everything.
Yeah.
So, dear aspirants, you got to know what sir's advice was, how to choose the correct strategy, and you can choose your own role models. And please don't forget to go through the details given in the description box related to VisionIAS Anthropology Optional program. Wish you all the very best.